How it is, we're just gonna reset things here. Here we go, big go. Right, we're gonna make gingerbread granola. We're gonna cover it in chocolate. It's gonna be delightful. You're gonna love it. It's super easy to do. No tempering of the chocolate involved. We're keeping it real easy here for the first one. So, we're gonna make the gingerbread granola that's on my website. So the full recipe is there. And if you go to my website and then go to free stuff, it's like one of the first recipes that you'll see on the page. So everything's there for you to reference. So I'm going to be using, we've got our oats. I'll just go through the ingredients here. So we've got oats that are dry. We've got almonds that are roasted, and I'll go into that in a minute. We're using, for sweeteners, we're using maple syrup. We're using molasses, which is going to give that lovely gingerbready kind of flavor, as well as the spice mix that we're using. So we've got ground ginger, cinnamon. The ground ginger is integral to the recipe, especially ground ginger, not fresh. The ground ginger gives it that kind of gingerbread flavor a lot more than fresh ginger would. We've got freshly grated nutmeg, so you can use something like a microplane, fresh nutmeg, much nicer than using pre-ground nutmeg, much more potent, much more fresh tasting. And then we've got coconut flour, which is going to kind of bind everything together and make it clumpy, which is what we want from granola. And then we've got coconut sugar as another backup sweetener, and a little bit of sea salt. Now, sea salt is a balancer. It helps balance flavors. It brings out flavors. It enhances sweetness. It enhances flavor. So it's a great thing, just a little bit. And I use Celtic sea salt. Celtic sea salt, high in mineral content. So also getting your trace minerals. Not that I'm trying to say this is a nutritional dish, but I'm just saying Celtic sea salt, winner over here. Now, I'm going to be using medicine flower dark vanilla extract. So this is the silver line, which is an alcohol-based vanilla. They have another one that's, they have 3 lines anyway. So you can go to their website. If you're in the US, you can order from Genuine Essential Oils. Can you type and like links and stuff or no?
I think it's probably best to just say it at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Genuine Essential Oils is the place you can get it in the States, direct from the company. They just recently changed over their website. It used to be medicine flower. And then on there, you'll see a section for flavor extracts. Drop that down, and you'll see that they have 3 different lines. It's silver, gold, and premium. So the silver line, I think, is the best. It's the most potent. I really like it a lot. For ones that come from the silver line, they're going to come with this cap on top because alcohol evaporates. And I've had this with medicine flower extracts way back when I didn't realize it was going to evaporate, when I just put on this dropper top instead, and it doesn't air seal it, so it evaporates. And that's a huge waste of money because they're not cheap. But saying that, they're a lot less expensive at the moment than buying vanilla itself. They're totally natural flavor extracts. You can also get things like strawberry, cherry, raspberry, butterscotch, caramel, and they're all natural. They all come from the actual thing itself. The gold line butterscotch is a vegan butterscotch, so that's new also. So let's get into also why I'm using roasted almonds. So I'm using roasted almonds because it's just a great flavor. If you want to keep this totally raw, then you can use soaked almonds. You'll soak them for 8 hours, rinse them, and you'll use it in the same way. You'll see I'm going to add a touch of water to the recipe just because if you're using soaked almonds, you won't have to do that. If you're using roasted almonds, you will, because you don't get the moisture that's in the almonds in that case. What else? So in terms of like baking / to not baking your granola, because you might think, why you're using roasted almonds, why do a raw granola? Well, it's an oil-free granola. That's one thing, depending on if that's a diet that you're following or wanting to adhere to in any way. Whereas if you were going to bake granola in the oven, you would need, not necessarily need, but you would use oil of some kind, coconut oil, let's say, and quite a decent amount of it. So it roasts and it doesn't dry out and burn and like that. Either that, or you'd have to really increase your sweeteners and do things like date paste and like that. So it's up to you. I really like it this way. It keeps it nice and light, and then we're going to cover it in chocolate. It's really lovely. You can also use this any other way you use granola, with your choice of milk, with on ice cream. You can have it with yogurt, whatever, with fruit. So let us get started, and then that's for later. Okay, so let's make the granola first and foremost. We're going to jump over here to the food processor that I've never used before, and I don't know how to take the lid off. Russell James. Razoo.
Yeah, give it a twist.
Got it.
There you go. I've also got a question from CC Green. Can you use Himalayan salt?
Definitely. You can use any kind of salt that you like and prefer. They're pretty much all the same in terms of like using salt, but they're all going to vary in saltiness. So you might want to just taste it after you add it, just add a little bit, taste, add a little bit. You don't want it to be salty, but you just want to feel that flavor difference. So if this is something you're unfamiliar with in terms of adding salt to even just like sweet stuff, or in general when you're cooking, is always a good rule is to taste, adjust, because you can always add and you can't take away. And also by doing that, you get a good experience of what's it like before the salt and what does the salt actually do? Because I think for a lot of people, it's a question of what does it mean balance? What does that mean? And the best way to know that is to experience it. So that's what I got for you. Now everything's going to go into the food processor here. So we got oats and almonds. We got our maple syrup going in. And if you're going to trade this, the maple out for anything, you need to use something, just trying to think of what you could actually trade it out with, because it needs to be something that will crystallize. And honey doesn't crystallize if you were going to, non-vegan, going to go that way. I don't think agave crystallizes. Is that right, Russ? Do you remember?
I couldn't tell you.
We don't really use agave. It's been many years, like a decade since we've used it. We got our molasses going in, which if you want to know if you can substitute molasses, no, because there is really no substitute for molasses. Yeah, try and get your hands on some. Coconut flour going in, coconut sugar, our spice mix, and just a pinch of sea salt here. You can always add salt when you cover it in chocolate too. You don't have to add it all right now. And then we'll just get a little bit of vanilla. It's quite potent, so you don't need a lot. Just about 6 or so drops. And it lasts a really long time. Always remember to keep this top lid on though. Okay, so we're gonna have a little touch of water in there. Just a wee bit. And we'll see if we need more.
Gotta love that. I think that might be my bad.
It's his bad, you guys. It's not plugged in, is it? Or whatever.
It's an essential part of the process.
The essential part of the process is plugging it in. There we go. Now we're having a conversation. All right, so I'm just going to pulse it. And all we're trying to do at this stage is just break it down so it's a nice consistency, break those almonds down a bit. And this particular food processor is the Sage. It's really, really powerful. So that's why I'm taking it really slow with just pulsing it. It has 2 blades, which makes it a lot more powerful than other ones. I'm super jealous, by the way.
Well, you did recommend it to me, so I'm
I did.
grateful.
I need to go ahead and get myself one.
Sage, it's the Heston Blumenthal one.
Yeah.
But if you're in the US, it's Breville, right?
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so let's take this off. And you can see here it has the 2 blades, so it makes it, especially if you're going to do a larger quantity, it makes it really efficient. Oh, this smells mucho de delightful.
Oh, it really does. Those smells are just
Some
reaching
spices
me
in
over
it.
here
So you see it's kind of clumpy, but not like not massively. The reason I add the water also is it's going to turn that coconut sugar, it's going to dissolve the coconut sugar. Coconut sugar doesn't dissolve in fat. So it wouldn't dissolve against the oats, it wouldn't dissolve against anything else that's in here except for a touch of water. And when it does, it kind of turns more to a liquid, and then we get some nice clumping up that happens. So we're just trying to encourage that at the moment. Again, if you're using soaked almonds, you won't have to do this. Right, so then we're going to pop this onto a tray, as such. At my place, it's a stainless steel table, so I can just put stuff down, but I feel very sensitive. And it's glass, and you know how I am with glass.
Oh, yeah.
I break glass.
She breaks glass.
That's what I do in my life.
It's really become a thing in your life.
It's really a problem in my life. All right, so now this goes into the dehy. And I've got this on the lowest setting, but you can do whatever setting you like. Oop, malfunction, please hold. Got it, got it. And that's our bowl of chocolate we're about to get involved with. Absolutely nailed that, I think you'd agree.
Yeah, I mean, it looks delightful.
I meant putting the door back on and everything.
Oh.
Did not nail it.
Nailing the melting of the chocolate. I was
Well,
like,
that, yes.
just doing a day's work for you.
100%, yeah. Right, so what it's going to look like when it comes out of the D, and it's rolling D, let me just grab a sheet so you can see here. So this is what it'll look like when it comes out. And you'll have some clumps like this, and then, yeah, there'll be bigger clumps also. It comes off in kind of almost sheets sometimes too. Just see if I can. So you'll get bigger clumps like this, and even bigger than that. And for you know, I like things to be larger like this because then it has multiple purposes. You could always dip these in chocolate if you wanted to, etc. But this is a nice size like this for coating it in chocolate, and even like this in the bottom is really nice because it gives a nice kind of texture to the granola when it's chocolate covered. So then what you'll do is when this comes out, you'll break it up, and then top tip, fold this, and just right in there. Pop that to the side. And then you can let your granola, definitely a good idea to let it cool before you move on to putting the chocolate on. Because otherwise the chocolate's going to take longer to set. Now for the chocolate, this is chocolate I make myself. In fact, I'll be teaching a live stream on that this afternoon at 4 o'clock. If you'd like to join and learn how to make chocolate using the stone grinder that you see behind me here.
That's not on YouTube or Facebook, right? That's
yeah, that's on my website. So you can go to amylevin.co.uk/LSC live stream classes.
And you did there.
You see what I did?
Mm-hmm.
I pretty linked it. And then you can book onto that. It's 29 pounds. It teaches you how to make chocolate. Now, if you don't know how to make chocolate and you don't want to know how, fine. So we'll go through what you do in that case. So you can get any bar of chocolate that you like, whether that be raw, unroasted, roasted chocolate, whatever it is. You want to get something that's snappy, shiny, has been tempered, isn't with liquid sweeteners, like is good quality chocolate. So depending on where you are in the world, over in this country you can get it from Forever Cacao if you wanted it to be our unroasted chocolate. In the States, gosh, I don't even know what you can get in the States. I'm not familiar anymore, but you can do this with any kind of chocolate. And then I melted it down in the dehydrator on a really low temperature. So the lowest temp on that is about 42 degrees Celsius. And you just put it in there in like shards or small pieces, just break it up. And then it takes about 20 minutes, a half an hour for it to melt down, and then you're good to go. So in an ideal world, if you're going to temper it, which you don't need to, you'd bring it up to 42 degrees. But this will have definitely been at 42 degrees. And as we put it onto the granola, it'll lower in temperature. So in some ways it's like semi-tempered, but it won't be like perfectly tempered, but enough that it's not going to melt in your hands. So for just a little bit of fun, a little bit of different texture, a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of flavor, we're going to add some, it's actually Russell's choice. You want dried cherries or dried cranberries?
Dried cherries or dried cranberry? Cherries.
With gingerbread, bearing that in mind, yes?
Cherries.
He knows what he wants, you guys.
Can you bring those bowls next to each other? Thanks.
As such?
Yeah, and then a little bit further over to the left so they're more central. I got you guys. Make sure you get a proper viewing experience here.
He got you guys. So we'll get our cherries in. I mean, really? I think cranberries would be better because it's gingerbread, you know what I mean? But hey ho, he's going to be the one eating it.
Once I had cherries in mind,
that was it. No, he was stuck on it. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so this is about, I can't remember how many grams this is. I feel like it's about 100-ish. So the ratio is about like 100 grams to maybe 70 grams of chocolate kind of thing. But, you know, up to you how coated you want it. So what we're going to do, get this in. And I know that Russell James, he likes his chocolate. So let's just go ahead and treat him.
Treat me.
Treat him and just load or bury this up. Okay. And then we're just going to mix this around. And if at first it seems like, oh no, it's not enough chocolate, Amy's a liar. I'm not. You're fine. Just keep going. And it'll just keep incorporating.
No one would say that about you.
I'm just saying, like, you never know, you know what I mean? You never know. Oop. All right, now we got a tray here that is, how does this feel for you?
Feels great.
Okay. That we've got some acetate. I've got a sheet of acetate, which you could also just use greaseproof paper, parchment paper, whatever you want to use. Anything that's just non-stick. So let's go ahead and get this on.
Go ahead and do that.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably the best thing to do. All right. And then just use your spatula or your spoon, whatever you're using, to just spread this out a touch. Doesn't have to be massively spread out. Wherever it's touching, it's going to cluster up a little bit, but who doesn't like clusters? Raise your hand. Nobody in this room.
I can't see any hands.
I don't see any hands up.
That means everyone loves clusters.
Everybody in the club. At this stage, if you had sea salt flakes and you wanted to do a little, you could do that also. So this is going to go into the Frigidaire, but I didn't want you to be like twiddling your thumbs for a while. So I'll show you what it looks like when it comes out. So this is what it's going to look like when it's set. And you can see it looks pretty nice in terms of like the temper of the chocolate. You're not getting streaks, you're not getting anything weird going on. So now I'm just going to break this up just ever so slightly, because as we established earlier, clumps are good. Okay, and then from here you think, it doesn't look like the best thing ever in the face of the earth. So let's do it up so it looks a little bit more nicer. And this adds some great flavor, a bit of fun to the granola, well, the chocolate cocoa granola. So this is roasted cocoa powder. I really like using roasted, it's got great flavor. You could use raw, it's not quite the same thing. This adds a bit of like that bitterness and the flavor profile of roasted chocolate to this. Really nice, and it also gives a really nice coating on the outside of the granola. So we're gonna just pop this in and just shake it all around. Do a little dance, you know how it is.
What's the next line?
Do a little dance, waka waka waka. Make a little love, chuck 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 chuck. Get down tonight, woo! Get down tonight, woo!
You know, such an accurate rendition of that song. I'm hoping we're not going to get a copyright strike on YouTube, because they actually thought that you were playing the song then.
Anyway,
So
yeah, they thought I was playing the song. Is this GP? It is. Just so you can see it best, most best. Oh yeah, what are we talking about? Russell James, you want to indulge yourself?
Oh yeah,
Please.
you know.
I do know.
See a little sneaky.
Sneaky little hand. Ooh, that's a Russell James hand.
Oh.
That's a Russell paw.
Oh.
That's a hoof.
Oh.
Hoof.
Hoof.
How is it? Tell the people. Explain it.
Well, oh no, I dropped a bit.
Oh no, we'll
Man,
still eat it.
dropped
It's fine.
a bit. Well, it's so good. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like, this is not my first rodeo with this
Nah.
particular dish.
Nah, he's gotten involved in the past, and we're not going to lie to you about that.
15-second rule.
Yeah, for sure. No, 30-second even.
It's delightful, and that and the dry fruit. What's in this one?
I think that's probably cranberries.
Mm.
It's good, right?
Yeah.
Well, now you'll be able to taste both.
I'm gonna move away from the microphone because I'm
Yeah,
smacking.
and you could also divide and conquer. You know, cut the batch in half. Do one thing in one batch, like raisins or sultanas or whatever you want, and then the other one you could do something else. So some like roasted cocoa nibs, raw cocoa nibs, whatever you want in here to jazz it up a little bit. Yeah, so that's it. So if there's any questions, we'll take those now.
Got a couple of questions here. Cece is asking, what's the name of the chocolate company?
The one over here is called Forever Cacao. So that's FOREVERCACO.com.
Really spelling it out.
I'm just spelling it out.
On Facebook, Pirette is asking, do you use freeze-dried fruit?
Yeah, freeze-dried fruit. Well, yeah, for sure. So that's a great question. So I'm just, not that you asked, but I'll just go into the details around that. So when it comes to freeze-dried fruit, the difference between freeze-dried fruit, dried fruit, freeze-dried fruit tends to be very light and bright in terms of what it adds to the dish: lightness, brightness, crispiness also, depending on if you get powder or if you get pieces. The difference between that and using dried fruit is obviously chewy. It's a darker flavor always because you're really condensing down those flavors and it doesn't go crispy, right? So those are the differences in terms of like the profiles and the way that you use them. Now, if you were going to use freeze-dried fruit, that would be awesome because it would give a real lift and a burst of like brightness to the granola and with the chocolate also. So I guess in this one, I'd probably go with, I think freeze-dried cherries would be really nice. Because the freeze-dried cherries tend to be on the sour side, so that against the granola with the spices and the chocolate would be really nice. But you can use whatever you want. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of anything else. Freeze-dried apple would be amazing, actually. And there's a great site over here called Keylink. That's Keylink. I think it might be .org, but just have a look on, just do a search for it, Keylink, chocolate ingredients, and it should just pop up. And then if you go to, I think it's chocolate ingredients or ingredients, there's a drop down. And you'll see a tab for freeze-dried fruit, and they've got awesome freeze-dried fruits that come in really good containers and all the rest of it.
All right, Nurit is asking, this is on Facebook, what kind of cacao powder do you use?
This cacao powder is, I'm trying to remember, cocoa berry, Calabaut, Callbaut, and you can get it on amazon.co.uk. Let me just have a look here. Just 2 seconds. And this is, I'm not going to find this in time, and we're live, guys. So I'm just really aware of that. So it's a roasted cocoa powder. It's 100%. So you don't want to be getting something that has sugar added to it. That's not really cocoa powder. So you want to be getting 100% cocoa powder. This one is, I think it's cocoa berry, it might be, or it's Calabaut. They're the same company. It's just a matter of what it says on the bag. So just search for, it's called Extra Brut, Extra BRUT, possibly an E on the end. So you should be able to find it like that. There's also a really good one that's on Real Food Source. That's an Italian one, I think, but they've been out of stock for ages, but that's a really lovely one also.
All right. Sue Frisbee. It's nice to see some names that I recognise.
Yes, Sue.
Hey, Sue. Will you be doing regular live sessions? She just found this by accident.
Ooh, lucky you. Yeah, we're going to be doing lives. We're going to be doing these free ones on a weekly basis. And then on every Wednesday also at 4 o'clock, I'm going to be doing, starting today, a chocolate series. So going over how to make chocolate using the stone grinder, which I know you haven't dove into yet, Sue. And then after that, we're going to be going into tempering next week. And all of these are going to be deep dive classes into that topic. So where in class formats in terms of like a bonbon class or something, we would touch on it quite briefly. They're really topics that deserve a deep dive. So we're going to do that for the next kind of 4 or 5 weeks, going through all the different steps like how to make chocolate, tempering and robing, shelling and capping, and then I don't remember what else is after that, but it'll all be up on my website.
Yeah. So just to clarify that as well, this one on Facebook and YouTube is a weekly one.
It's a weekly one at 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock, and then the Sunday
and
ones,
Wednesday.
and Wednesday at 4 p.m.
Yeah.
They're the ones that they're the private ones that you can see on Amy's site.
You can book through my site at amylevin.co.uk/LSC. That stands for live stream classes.
There we go. All right, let's go to YouTube for a couple of comments here. Yagami, are all of your recipes vegan?
Yes, they are.
You occasionally give options for non-vegan stuff? I'm trying to think. Do you ever use honey?
Yeah, I mean, honey would be the only exception to that, yeah. And I don't really use it anymore.
All right, cool. And then Roni S, freeze-dried blueberries?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing with freeze-dried blueberries. I never really find that they're that great. But if you can get a really good source of them, that would be fantastic. They tend to not have very much flavor in my experience. Freeze-dried black currants, on the other hand, get yourself involved.
All right. Just got some lovely comments here. Absolutely love your courses and classes. And yours, Russell.
Russell getting some love.
All right. So Andy says, be careful, everyone. Classes are addicting.
Oh, that's Andy. Carrot Lady Andy.
Andy Saden.
Yeah. Colorado Andy.
I know
Every
it's
Sunday
American,
Andy.
Because addicting versus addictive. You guys.
Yeah, we're addicting.
Addicting.
We're addicting.
All right, we're going to end it there because we're in
uncharted territory.
We're in uncharted territory. Just one more question, follow-up question from El Yagami. What are some of the things to replace dairy with?
In what are we talking about? Dairy where?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like rather than just waiting here for a response.
Is this on Facebook or YouTube?
YouTube.
Why don't you go ahead and email me? Go to my website, go to the contact form, email me, and then we can chat that way.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day, and then we'll see you at 4 p.m. UK time for the Zoom.
The Zoom
version.
how to make chocolate. Okay.
Yeah. So if you want to join, if you're not joining that yet, head over to Amy's site.
Get it.
All right. See you soon.
Adios.